Hi, this is Maurice Hamilton from BBC Radio 5 Live and The Observer. I've been motorsport correspondent for them for more years than I probably care to remember, which is why I was able to appreciate the story that was emerging in 2007 and why I was able to realise that it was such a very special season. Now, when it started off, it looked like it was going to be pretty good anyway, because we had a number of things that had happened. Michael Schumacher had retired after having dominated Formula One for far too long. And we had Kimi Raikkonen move to Ferrari in his place from McLaren. And then secondly, we had Fernando Alonso, the reigning world champion, move to McLaren, and we had Lewis Hamilton, this bright young star, emerge. So clearly there was a lot going on. There was a lot of interest there before we even started. But what actually happened was far greater than anything I or anybody else had imagined, because you had an incredible conflict within the McLaren team between Fernando Alonso, the reigning world champion, and this young superstar, because this young superstar Hamilton turned out to be much better than anybody ever thought he was, and gave Fernando Alonso a hard time. So that was a story in itself. Then we had Ferrari, a bit of a struggle to start with. Kimi Raikkonen really found it very difficult to get going, and they appeared to be struggling. But then, as if that wasn't enough, in the background, then this story emerged. It started to come out round about British Grand Prix time, July in 2007, where there was spying. Now teams have always had a little thing where they are always checking out their rivals and seeing how they get, trying to find out how they get their speed, get their success. But this was taking it on to a new level entirely, in that McLaren of all teams, the squeakier than white, squeaky clean team, were suddenly found to have had Ferrari information. Quite how much we didn't know, quite what they'd done with it we didn't know, but whatever, it was a revelation. And that story then got more and more involved and more complicated with each succeeding race, and in the process it was dragging Hamilton and Alonso in as well. They were getting involved in various ways, and then Ferrari were coming good, and you had this phenomenal fight for the championship with the politics going on in the background. And then we were then running up towards the finale of the championship, and we had three drivers in the fight for the championship going into the final round, which was unheard of. Clearly we had this incredible story going on, and I knew it was a unique season. I'd never known anything like it from the point of view of the bitterness in the background, the intense rivalry perhaps I'd seen before, but the whole package was just unheard of. So I knew there was a book in this, a definite book in this, and when we had discussions with Simon & Schuster, the publishers, they said, look, the story sounds fantastic, but can you put it in perspective? Can you tell us what it means in the overall history of motorsport? And I thought, okay, that's a fair question. How do I do that? And the one obvious answer was that the last time we'd had three drivers go head to head to the wire in the final round was in 1986. And that was, there were lots of parallels here. So we had two drivers in the same team at McLaren. We had Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso taking points off each other while fighting the outsider at the time, which was Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari. Now 1986 was exactly the same. We had two Williams drivers in this instance, and it was a British driver again, it was Nigel Mansell, Nelson Piquet, his teammate, taking points of each other, not liking each other at all, which was a handy coincidence, and the outsider was Alain Prost in the McLaren. And on each occasion, in 86 and 2007, the least favourite, i.e. Prost and Raikkonen, came through to take the title, both driving red and white cars as it happens, nice little coincidence, but they came through the middle because the other two were arguing and bickering so much, taking points of each other. So that was a lovely parallel, and that gave me the chance then to compare racing in 86 and 21 years later in 2007, and see that in many ways Formula One had moved on massively in technical terms, but in other ways it just hadn't changed at all. So Lewis Hamilton has lost the championship in a dramatic way, and it's brought a lot of focus on the sport. I actually personally was, I'm not happy, it's not the right word, but I felt it would have been wrong if Lewis had won the championship last year for a number of small reasons. One is that if he'd won it, then what next? And it's all over. The story's all over. I have to say, I'm wearing my media hat here, and I'm wanting to have the thing protracted. But the main reason, actually, glad in a way he didn't win the championship was because of all the hoo-ha surrounding McLaren and all the things they were alleged to have done using Ferrari information. If Lewis Hamilton had won the championship, a lot of people would have been saying, yeah, but that was because his car was illegal and so on and so forth, which actually wasn't true. But that's what people would have said. So his championship probably would have been tainted. Ferrari certainly would have been very unhappy about it. I think at the end of the day, when Kimi Raikkonen won the championship, he actually deserved it. He won 2 more Grand Prix than anybody else. So I think all things being considered, it's a good thing in a way, although Lewis might not see it that way. Whatever way you want to look at 2008, there will always be conflict of some sort. That's the way Formula One is. I think the main thing that everybody's hoping for is that, yeah, we all want to see fighting. We all want to see them desperate to beat each other. We don't want to see the acrimony that we had in 2007, which quite frankly was horrible. And while it gave me a good excuse to write a book, and I was grateful for that, I really don't want to have to record another season like that.